Before this story begins, pause for a second and look around you right now. Are you alone in your room? Is your closet door fully shut or slightly open? Type your country and time in the comments so I know where you're watching from. And if you're brave enough to stay until the end, like and subscribe now. Because tonight's story is not about ghosts. It's not about fiction. It's about real people hiding in real homes. This is Mr. Sleep Crime, and these stories are real. Story 1, The Man from the Convenience Store. There is a small, quick check store off a highway. Not a big city, not a busy road, just a lonely stretch of land where the lights of the store flicker like a lighthouse in the middle of nothing. The only thing open 24 hours. The only place to go when you are hungry at night. The narrator had a broken sleep schedule. He lived in a small rural town where darkness felt heavier than in cities. No streetlights, no sounds, just trees, wind, and roads that go on forever. At 2 a.m, hunger hit him like a switch flipped in his brain. One moment he was coding, the next his stomach felt like a hollow cave. So he got in his car. The highway at night wasn't a highway. It was more like a dead country road. No cars, no headlights, just darkness. He pulled into the quick check, ordered a sandwich, walked the aisles. Then he saw something wrong. A man sitting on the floor, not browsing, not resting, sitting cross-legged, staring at the refrigerator, not moving, not blinking, just staring, wearing a brown coat, old jeans, back turned. At first he thought he imagined it. People don't sit on cold tile floors and stare at refrigerators at 2 a.m. But the man was real. He felt that instinct hit, that animal sense that something wasn't right. He tried to sneak around another aisle to get a look at the man's face. The moment he turned the corner, the man snapped his head around, eyes wide, mouth trembling, skin pale under fluorescent lights, not smiling, not angry, empty, dead eyes, soulless, like he was wearing a human face. They stared at each other for a few seconds that felt like minutes. Then the narrator looked away and went back to the counter. His hands started shaking. His chest felt tight. He just wanted to leave. His food wasn't ready yet. He waited. He kept looking toward the aisle. The man never came out. Finally, the sandwich was ready. He grabbed it and left. He thought it was over, but horror doesn't end that easily. As he pulled back onto the highway, something moved in his side mirror. A man running full sprint from the store, brown coat, same man jumping into a truck. The truck's engine roared to life. The narrator hit the gas and drove. Dark road, silent world. Then, headlights behind him. Fast. Too fast. He slowed, thinking maybe police. But then he realized something. It wasn't a cop. It was the same truck, the same man. The headlights flashed violently. The horn blared. The truck rider wanted him to stop. He pressed the gas. The truck stayed behind him, flashing, honking, demanding. He swerved lanes. The truck followed. He tried slowing down. The truck rammed him. Metal screamed. His heart exploded inside his chest. Adrenaline flooded him. There was no misunderstanding. This man was trying to kill him. The truck rammed him again. He reacted on pure survival. He slammed the brakes. The truck flew past, lost control, spun, screamed off the road into darkness. He didn't stop, didn't look back. He drove until sunrise, and later he told police. But he never found out who the man was, and he never went to that quick check again. Story 2. The Woman on the Desert Road. In 2022, a man worked as a delivery driver, long hours, rural highways, no streetlights, no backup. He drove through southern New Mexico at 1 a.m. Nothing but desert, nothing but silence. Then he saw a car on the shoulder, red hatchback, hazard lights blinking, a woman standing beside it, phone in the air, looking for signal. His instincts told him to drive away, but his heart thought of his family. So he slowed, cracked the window. The woman ran to the door and tried the handle. Locked. Her voice trembled. She said her car died. She needed a ride. She needed help. Something felt wrong, but he had a weapon nearby. That gave him confidence. He unlocked the door. She got in fast, avoided eye contact. Her voice sounded wrong. She didn't answer questions. She just wanted him to drive. Then he looked back at her car. A man stepped out from behind it. Another man stepped into the road, holding something long, a bat, a pipe, a weapon, instant terror. He floored the gas. The woman started screaming. She reached into her purse. His hand went to the gun. He showed it. She froze instantly, silent, expression blank, like a switch got turned off inside her. He drove to a gas station. He forced her out, insisted, carried. She screamed nonsense. He drove away. Later, he found zip ties in his seat, a burner phone battery. He never reported it, but he knew. That night almost ended his life. Story 3, the gas station woman. They were driving across America, Utah to Georgia, a long road trip, empty highways, dusty skies, Kansas, flatland, no trees, no lights. She fell asleep in the passenger seat. When she woke up, it was dark. A tiny gas station ahead, old lights, buzzing hum. Her husband stopped. She went inside. No phone, no purse. The bathroom was at the back. She opened the door and almost ran into a woman. The woman smelled strange. Her hair was grey, sticky, unwashed. She wore flip-flops that slapped softly on the floor. She wore a thick coat. It was summer. She was holding a plastic bag. They stared at each other, not normal staring, hunting staring. The woman stepped aside slowly. She didn't talk, didn't smile, didn't blink. She followed her to the sinks. She didn't wash her hands, just stood there, waiting, watching. She felt sick. She went into the stall and locked it. Then she heard the door open and close. It sounded like she left, but then she realized something. Breathing, not hers. Someone else was still in the room. The woman had faked leaving. She stood near the door. Waiting, she waited again. Door opened and closed. Still breathing, she faked leaving again. She stayed frozen. Finally, silence. She stepped out. The bathroom was empty. She washed her hands and left. Outside, the woman stood there, watching her. Something in her hand, shiny, sharp, knife-shaped, ready to hurt her. But instead of attacking, she walked away slowly. The woman ran to the car. They drove away, but she never forgot that face. Story 4. The white van that followed a logistics worker. Night drives, I-80 highway, cold, empty, dark. He pulled into a rest area, no cars except one. Old white van, no logos, lights off. Something felt wrong. He went inside. In the mirror, the door opened, but nobody came in. He walked outside. The van headlights turned on, then off. He left. Then he saw headlights behind him. The van following, getting closer. It came beside him. The driver rolled down the window, gestured, told him to roll his window down, pointed at the truck bed. The bed was empty. The warning wasn't real, it was bait. The van cut him off, stopped, then chased him again, followed him for 20 miles. He pulled into a truck stop. The diner was bright, safe, he told someone. A big trucker stepped outside. He saw the van, 2 men inside, hoodies, blank stares. The trucker walked toward them. They fled. He stayed there an hour, When he got to his destination, 2 dirty handprints were on his tailgate. They tried to open it. He quit his job, and he never drives at night now. Story 5. The Man Who Was Watching Under the Bed. She lived in a tiny 1-room apartment in South Korea. Quiet street, dim hallway lights, thin walls that carried every sound. She worked as an English tutor. One night, her student stayed late. The buses stopped running. He begged to sleep on the floor. She hesitated, but she agreed. She slept on the bed. He slept on the floor. Everything felt normal. Until 2 a.m., he woke her up, said he was hungry, said he wanted to go out. She didn't want to, she argued, he insisted. Finally, they left. As soon as they stepped into the street, he looked at her and said, "I'm not hungry. When I woke up, I saw a man sleeping under your bed. Police came later. They confirmed it. A homeless man had been living there for 2 months, sleeping under her while she slept above him, breathing beneath her, watching beneath her." Story 6. The Bodies in the Road. A desert highway. California to New Mexico. 2-lane road, no lights, golden sand, sharp rocks. Ahead, a car stopped. Sideways in the road, suitcase spilled open, clothes everywhere. 2 bodies in the road, face down, a man, a woman. He stopped. Every instinct screamed danger. The scene looked wrong, too perfect, too staged. He pulled out his pistol. He didn't get out. He looked for a way through. He drove past them, accelerated. In the mirror, the bodies moved. They got to their knees, and people stood up from the tall grass. Dozens waiting. He drove faster, faster. He never looked back. Story 7. The screams in the dark. Friends fishing by a river. Firelight, beer, laughter. Everything went silent. They felt watched. Across the water, a scream. Not human, not animal, something between. Hair stood up. Silence. Another scream, closer. Then another scream. Next to them, from the bushes. They grabbed guns. They ran. The screams followed into the trees. They left everything. They never returned. They never found out what it was. Story 8. The phone call from inside the house. He forgot his phone. He called it. Someone answered. Silence. No breathing. No voice. Later, parents weren't home. Nobody was supposed to be. But the phone had been answered. Door creaked open. Someone was in the house. He ran. Police came. Back door was open. Nothing stolen. But someone had been inside, waiting, watching. Story 9. The Stranger in the Closet. The neighborhood looked peaceful. A quiet little corner of suburbia where kids played outside, dogs barked at mail trucks, and porch lights flickered on at sunset. A place where nothing bad was supposed to happen. A father, a mother, and their little girl. Their home sat next to a seemingly ordinary family. A mother, a father, and their son. But the boy, there was something wrong with him, something in his eyes, something in the way he stared a little too long, something in the way he lingered near their fence, something dark. He wasn't like other kids. He liked knives, not for kitchen use, but for fun. He liked slasher films, not because they were scary, but because he enjoyed them. He liked hurting small animals in ways he thought no one noticed. And he liked watching people, especially the neighbor's daughter. The father noticed it. Every time the little girl walked outside, the boy would appear silently, eyes fixed on her, not smiling, not talking, just watching. One day, the father finally snapped. He stormed over and told the boy, and his parents, to stay away from his daughter, to leave her alone, to never speak to her again. The boys said nothing. He only stared, but something in his expression shifted, and that's when things in the house began to change. The daughter started whispering strange things at bedtime. "Daddy, someone's in my closet." "Daddy, something moves in there at night." "Daddy, it only comes out when the lights are off." They brushed it off. She had an active imagination. Kids see shapes in shadows, monsters in darkness. But then she said she heard whispering, breathing, scratching, coming from behind the closet door. Still, they didn't believe her. Weeks passed, and then one night, the mother and daughter went to stay at Grandma's, just a normal girls' night. The father stayed home alone, dozing off on the couch downstairs. The house was quiet, almost too quiet, until 2 a.m. the phone rang. It was the neighbor's father. Tate panicked. He said his son was missing. He couldn't find him anywhere in the house. Then he said something that made the father freeze. "We thought you were awake, because we saw someone walking around upstairs. Your daughter's bedroom light is on." But the father had been asleep downstairs the whole time. No one should have been upstairs. No lights should have been on. The father stood up, slowly, his heart pounding. He looked up the staircase. A faint glow leaked from under his daughter's door. A shadow moved past it. The police arrived in minutes. They entered the home with flashlights drawn. They crept up the stairs. The daughter's bedroom door creaked open. The closet door was half open. Darkness inside. The officers approached, guns raised. They pulled the door open, and there he was, the neighbor's son, curled up in the back of the closet, breathing heavily, sweating, smiling. He had blankets inside, a flashlight, snacks, a small pillow. He had been living in that closet, watching the little girl sleep, night after night, waiting for the moment she was alone again. When the police dragged him out, he finally spoke. "I like watching her sleep. In the moonlight." Story 10, The Basement Laughter. It was a normal evening, a quiet home, just laundry to finish, nothing unusual. Their basement wasn't scary, just old, dim lights, concrete floors, a single hallway that always felt colder than the rest of the house. One night, someone went down there to switch laundry from the washer to the dryer. The light on the far side of the basement suddenly flickered, then burned out. Dark. Too dark. They stood there for a moment, letting their eyes adjust, with only the faint glow from the laundry room behind them. They took a slow breath, just walked through the dark hallway, up the stairs and back to safety. They stepped out of the laundry room. Halfway through the basement, it happened. A sound right behind them. Not a whisper, not a footstep, a laugh, a deep, gravelly, broken laugh, like an old woman who had smoked cigarettes for 50 years. Trying to imitate a witch, low, hoarse, rattling, wet. It cut through the silence like a knife. Their legs locked, every hair on their body stood up. They didn't turn around, they didn't breathe, just that laugh right behind them. They bolted, sprinting blindly toward the stairs, hands shaking so violently they almost missed the railing. They didn't stop running until they were upstairs with the door locked behind them. When family returned, they changed the bulb. No one mentioned the laugh. No one believed in ghosts. But the sound never returned. And yet, sometimes in the middle of the night, when the house is silent, when the basement door creaks, they swear they still hear something. A laugh, low, scratchy, patient, waiting for someone to turn the lights off again. And now, the road goes silent again. The darkness stretches quiet. No headlights behind you for now. If you are still awake, tell me where you are watching from. Type your country, your city, or the time. Let me know you survived tonight's journey. Lock your doors, turn off the lights, and remember, the road never forgets. This has been Mr. Sleep Crime. Good night.